Hi guys. So for my internship, I chose a gym called Fitness 1440. It's where I've currently been employed since October of 2019. It's in Mesa, so it's right down the street from my place. It's a commercial gym, so you can come in, use all the equipment, barbells, dumbbells, free weights, bands, TRX, basically everything we had. We also offered personal training, group training. We did group classes like yoga, Zumba. We had spin class. We also had a Target 24 class, which I'll get a little more into in a few minutes. We also had a InBody body composition scale you can use to monitor your body composition, among other things. You get a printout sheet which tells you all your results. And we had a TRX overhead squat assessment, a video assessment, which worked for maybe about the first 2 weeks and then broke down, and then just had a lot of issues with it, so we didn't really get a chance to use that much. Like I said, it was my place of employment, so some of my job duties, responsibilities, is I would design hour-long group classes for members, including a warm-up and a cool-down. Train our Target 24 class, so that is it's a room of its own. It's got 8 different pieces of equipment in there, 4 cardio-based and then 4 resistance training-based. There was a Jacob's ladder, a rower, elliptical, and a free motion treadmill. And then we had like a push-up machine, a pull-up machine, leg press, and a ab crunch. So basically you go through that work to rest ratio, 60 seconds on one machine, 30 seconds rest, and you rotate to the next one, same thing all the way through it for 2 rounds. So it would be 24 minutes total, hence the name. In addition to that, I would provide exercise modifications for people. So based on their limitations or their age, we had some young people in there too. Some kids in there. I'd conduct the in-body body composition assessment and interpret the results for the clients and members. Set up my workout space, set up equipment, clean it up when we're done, wipe down, especially. It's very important to wipe down, especially now. I would demonstrate proper technique and hold members accountable for having that technique. On occasion, I would give gym tours, and I would do personal training assessments, which if you've ever worked in a gym as a personal trainer, you know that it's just basically a sales appointment. Try to get them to buy personal training. A typical day for me, I would arrive about 15-20 minutes early, write my pre-planned workout on a dry erase board. I'd go in, I'd set up the exercise equipment and our stations, which usually meant kicking some people out because the group training room was in a turf room and had a TRX bay, but it was open to everyone else too. So many times I'd get there and there'd already be people working out, so I'd have to clear out the space for that. I'd greet the members as they come in. As everyone's there, I would give a dynamic warm-up while I'm demonstrating the exercises and explaining the workout. After that, I'd take the group, split them into the different stations. We usually get anywhere between 8 and 15 people, so you can't have all people at one station, so you got to split them up. And I try to do it with people that weren't as familiar with each other, so that they could hopefully talk and start to become friends and build that community. I brought my own timer and music, so we had speakers in the gym, but I would turn it down for that room because I use an app called Fit Radio, and it has timers built in, so that was very helpful because usually our workouts were time-based. After that, run the workout, correct form, go around, answer questions. If everything's cool, kind of engage with people a little more. Just try to get to know them, and then build that relationship, build that rapport. After class, we'd static stretch, foam roll, or PNF stretch as our cool down. I wouldn't have time to go around and PNF stretch everybody, so we'd use some resistance bands for that. And then we'd clean up the exercise space and then go home. That's a typical day there. My original learning goals, were to investigate the effects of high-intensity resistance training on body composition and posture, which changed to just resistance training, interval resistance training on body composition and weight loss. I wanted to observe movement patterns of individuals, identify muscular imbalances and improper technique, apply my education on proper technique, recommend it to the member, and then explain how those movement patterns will improve their posture, and also kind of hit on the physiological effects of what we're doing, why we're doing resistance exercise, why it's important, why it's good for you, what it's going to do for you. Ideally, I would have liked to examine the post-test postural and body composition, but due to the machine breaking down and COVID-19, we're not able to do that. I also wanted to learn if employing my techniques, my proper technique, and employing the high intensity resistance exercise would improve the body composition and body weight in a 6-week time period. SMART goals. So our program is designed to improve body composition and kinematics, which would be measured by InBody, and then hopefully ideally would have been the TRX overhead assessment. An assessment was conducted prior, so I have those results, what the baseline readings were for the body composition and weight. There was no specific goal in terms of weight loss, like we didn't want to lose 10% of our body weight or anything like that, but the goal was just to improve. So I wanted to see an improvement from the beginning of the 6 weeks to the end of the 6 weeks. Could have been 1 pound, could have been a tenth of body fat percentage, whatever the improvement might have been. That's what I wanted to see. My goal of the internship to improve body composition and weight was the same as the members, and it was taking place over a 6-week time period, so it was time sensitive. So the reason why I chose resistance training as my mode of exercise was because it accelerates metabolism, so it causes us to burn more calories, raises our RMR. Our RMR accounts for 60 to 75% of our calorie burning process. Muscles contain 50 to 75% of all the proteins in the human body. Resistance training promotes hypertrophy, which is a gain in muscle size, and occurs when protein synthesis exceeds protein breakdown or degradation. And that's important because protein synthesis and protein breakdown account for about 20% of our RMR. So of that 60 to 75% of our calorie burning process, 20% of that is due to just the hypertrophy, basically, hypertrophic effects. Estimated metabolic rate of the muscle tissue is 10 to 15 calories per day, so it contributes about 20% to our total daily energy expenditure. So some research I found on there, the majority of peer-reviewed resistance training studies lasting 8 to 52 weeks showed increases of 2.2 to 4.5 pounds of muscle mass. So if you go on the high end, 4.5 pounds of muscle mass would increase RMR by about 50 calories per day. So it's an extra 50 calories burned. More research I looked at. One study had a randomized control study on the effect of the exercise type on body composition. It took 249 adults over the age of 62, 71% women with a BMI greater than 31. We randomized to 3 different groups. So it was a weight loss group, which is just nutrition, weight loss plus aerobic training, and weight loss plus resistance training for 18 months. Body composition was measured by the DEXA, which is the gold standard, at baseline, 6 months, and at 18 months. The results found that the weight loss plus resistance training had a greater total body fat mass loss at 19% than the weight loss group at 10.9%, and the weight loss plus aerobic training at 16%. So overall, weight loss plus resistance training resulted in less lean mass lost, more fat loss. So they preserved more muscle and then they lost more fat. And that was the most effective way of those to do it. I think that was a good study because it had a good sample size and it measured by DEXA. So it used the gold standard of body composition. So I think that one's good. Some personal experience. I've had a client in the past. She was 62 years old, very sedentary due to a lower back injury, which actually made her retire from her nursing career. And she was about 280 pounds. After 6 months of resistance training 3 times per week, her pain decreased greatly and she lost about 80 pounds. Resistance training with short rest periods was my main focus with that. So we wanted to build muscle, but I wanted to keep her heart rate up too. So that was her story. Personally, I have a story. I was a college athlete for a few years. I played football. After I stopped playing football, I kept eating how a football player would eat, but I didn't exercise that way. So I gained about the time was about 30 pounds. So I got up to 240 pounds, 240 plus. I didn't have any education, formal education on training at that time, but I just started doing resistance training workouts, higher rep, shorter rest, kept my heart rate up, build muscle, and I was able to lose about 30 pounds, and I have kept it off to this day. And I should continue to keep it off if I am a good professional. So my hours at Fitness 1440, like I said, it was my job. So I worked there. I would generally train between 2 to 4 group training classes per shift. My shifts were split morning and then evening, early morning and then evening. So most popular times for people to work out. On average, I'd be between 15 and 20 classes per week. All of my subjects for my study were taken from my evening classes. So just a quick summary of my baseline reading for the InBody scale. I had 5 females from the ages of 14 to 49. Our BMI range was on the low end at 21.5 and then got up to the higher end at 36.2. So this would put everyone in the group from normal to obese weight range. Also, their weight varied from 113.9 pounds to 185.6 pounds. Percent body fat ranged from 27% to 43%, which puts them in the below average to poor category. And we know the chronic conditions associated with this, thanks to Bill's prior classes. More than 1/3 of adults are categorized as being obese, which can be a big issue, especially in healthcare. And if we're going to go to a universal healthcare one day, then it's going to be a big issue for a lot of people. I included some attachments of the InBody scale baseline results. So if you guys want to look at those, you can look through the PowerPoint. A quick summary of the internship. We weren't able to finish it, so I couldn't get post-test readings due to COVID-19. It was eye-opening for me to see just how many people are really obese, categorized as obese, because in class we hear about it as a statistic, but you don't normally put a face and a name and somebody you know to it, so doing that just kind of made it more real. Internship was valuable to me because I was able to control certain aspects, like the exercise program, which I wasn't able to do in the past as much in group training atmospheres, because usually the workout's already written for you and people want you to do just that. I learned about different members' capabilities and their goals, and just got to know them and build that rapport, so I thought that was also valuable. And I also observed that technique among common gym goers is not very good. So I think a lot of people, most people, pretty much everybody would benefit from coming to a class like that and learning from somebody who's educated on proper technique and the benefits of it. I did start to see, even though I don't have results to back it up, I did start to see some results from people, just the way their clothes were fitting, or they were telling me they were losing weight, or just their capabilities in the gym, saw form improve a lot. So that was encouraging. I do think, based on what I saw and then what I know, I think that our post-test readings would have come back pretty positive. Would have really liked to finish it, but what are you gonna do? When there's a pandemic, you gotta be safe. So that was it. I had a great time with my internship, and I really hope to continue these studies in the future.